How's it going?
Oh, good.
Or-
Busy as ever.
I can imagine. Adrian Belew, life got to be more crazy now because you're working very hard and there's like lots going on.
Well, yes, that's true. I've been working hard on three things, honestly. First, I'm continuing the Jerry Harrison, Adrian Belew Remain in Light touring, um, and I have a band camp coming up right after that. And then on August 18th, I go into rehearsals for the Beat tour. Lastly, I've also put together a brand new record.
Wow.
So yeah, I've been a little busy.
Like, where do you find the time to do all this like major schedule book, I presume?
Well, the touring has been scheduled for a long time, so I was ready for the Remain in Light stuff, um, and it's pretty easy for me. We've done enough of it now that I feel very comfortable with it. Um, the band camp, same thing. This will be 13 years of doing a band camp. Usually, I know most of the people there, and it's a lot of fun anyway. Um, but the Beat tour is a monster
Yeah.
because, for one thing, I want to try to get close to recapturing some of the elements of the music. We're not going to, try to be a perfect cover band or anything remotely like that. We're going to do it our own way. But for myself, I just wanted to have some of the sounds from the 80s, the vintage sounds. And that's been quite a problem to do that. Finding all the stuff, vintage stuff, some of which I have, most I didn't, and now getting it together in a brand new guitar system, which allows me to use what I already have and yet have another sort of leg to it that's for vintage guitar stuff,
Mhm.
the GR300 synthesizer and so on. So, long story short, I'm just finally getting that together. I have one or two more things and I'll be done with that. And I've only had about 2 weeks to work with it, but today I believe I might have all the elements finally, which leads me to this. The amount of time I'm having to rehearse with this new gear is way shorter than I thought it would be. 9 days from now, I have to leave for Talking Heads.
Wow. Incredible. It's like that you're coming to Canada. So, Casino New Brunswick in Moncton, October 15th. That's a little while from Malbos. It's going to go quick. Um, what do you think of that? Coming to New Brunswick and Nova Scotia
I,
for the first time.
I love it. I love it. I'm so glad we're when we first put the tour together, it seemed like there was only enough time to do 40 dates. And we ended up having to leave out quite a few places that I wanted to go to. And when the response for this was so much more explosive than anyone imagined it being, um, we decided then, as a band and as the production team that runs this, that, well, let's go ahead and make it a longer tour.
Mhm.
And fortunately, people like Danny Carey and Steve Vai were really, really so excited about this. They were willing to do that. So that meant we could take on some territories. So for me to get to go places I haven't been for a while, or maybe even never, is always a real treat.
So it's like that when you do arrive to a new place. I mean, it's certainly different and it's memorable because it's new.
Exactly. I love it every time. I've been to so many places in the world. I couldn't possibly even count them now, but I still love going to somewhere new and returning to the places that you love as well. But when you go to somewhere brand new, there's a new audience sitting there,
Mhm.
and their excitement level is going to be huge because of that. And also, then you've got all the things about the city itself and the venue, all of which, that's a big part of your life when you're out there.
Now, Adrian, it seems that like almost all the tour dates are sold out. There's a few remaining that aren't yet, but they will be in not too long. That's that should be an amazing feeling.
It is an amazing feeling. I thought, I planned this for 5 years before it could actually happen. And I thought there was a pent up need for this from people who knew the music from when it was out originally and from all the young people who have heard about it since. But I didn't expect it to be this much. I also knew that putting together the best band possible that I could work with would also be helpful. But I didn't realize, wow, what a band this is. This is like a super band. So I'm really thrilled about all of it. The band itself, Tony and Steve and Danny and I, we just fit together so well. It's a band of no drama. Everybody is 1,000% professional, confident, happy to be doing this, and I think that will show up on stage too. It's always a little bit of a hassle when someone's not happy or feels bad about something. So we couldn't be more excited.
So and it's like that. You guys got all Frank Zappa players also. That in a sense, except Danny, but that's incredible too. And the Crimson era, from early '80s being republished, it as we should say. This is incredible.
Well, the thing Steve and I were talking about, we both feel like we graduated from the Zappa school.
Yeah.
And that particular school demands you to be precise, to be, you know, correct every night, do everything perfectly. No messing around. There's no room for you to come in the next day with a hangover or anything silly like that. I mean, you have to play it consistently and correctly. That is exactly what Frank demanded. And when I joined his band, which was the first thing of note I ever did in my life, and I was a pretty green kid, that's exactly what I needed. I needed that kind of, I'd never had any teaching. I taught myself everything, but I needed someone to really, take me through the ropes like that. I'm sure Steve would say the same thing because the music is unbelievably difficult. And I would also say that had I not gone through the Zappa school, I don't know that I would have been able to do the King Crimson stuff. Taking that on as a player and a writer would probably have been more than I could do. But by the time I got to that stage, I was well comfortable with, multiple odd time signatures and all the requirements that would come with being in such a high level band as King Crimson.
And when you look at the stuff King Crimson did from the beginning to your era, and to the end, it's still incredible that these things were invented.
Yeah, I feel like when we got together in 1981 after the long break and there was no King Crimson for all that time, you had two Americans and you had two British guys who had been in King Crimson. And all of us had just discovered brand new gear. Tony Levin had a stick. Robert and I had guitar synthesizers as well as the integrating guitar line stuff that we were worked on. Bill had electronic drums no one had yet used. So to me, it was like the perfect storm to have something really unique happen. And we didn't want to sound like the previous King Crimsons. We wanted to do something absolutely different from anyone. And I don't think at the time we were so deeply involved in it. I don't think any of us realized that we were doing something so special. It's, after the band was gone, after the first 4 years, I think it started to sink in.
One other thing you guys are featuring also on the tour is like meet and greets. That should be amazing for certainly the major fans that get to meet you.
I always love that, I mean, the only bad thing about it is it means there's no hole in your day to ever kind
Right.
of take a breath. But I have always been a person who loves my fans. I just think they're great. You know, I want to know what they think. I want to know who they are. Um, Almost all of them I've ever met in my life have just been the best people, and they make you feel good because you know that you are doing something that has positively affected their lives, and they show you that. So I'm glad we're doing them, and I think it's going to be very special because you're having all four of us, not just me or one of the guys. You're having all four people. It's a pretty heavy duty group to hang out with.
Yeah, you got that right. I mean, and everybody's got their own fan base too, because I mean, Steve Vai, has this huge fan base, and when you get that in it, you get people that just now start discovering King Crimson. So that's
Well,
another advantage.
well, you know, when I was thinking about doing this tour, I said, you know, I need to put together a record that can turn other people on to what I've done as a solo artist because I know that Steve Vai fans and Tool fans probably don't know that much about what I do. So I put together a compilation with a couple brand new songs, and I chose through songs from the last 20 years, and I tried to make them the kind of things that I think those fans would like, aggressive guitarish songs, you know, that have a lot of interest and a lot of hardcore stuff to them, along with a few other things to show different sides. But and turns out I think it's a really great record. It's called A Toe in the Ocean because I feel like the fan is going to be putting his or her toe in the ocean of music that's out there.
And the ocean of music is pretty big.
Yeah, it is. So, you know, it's chosen from things from 12 different records and a couple of new songs too. So I think it's a very, very wonderful record. Just for myself to even hear all that stuff put together a different way, because you know, obviously, there weren't those songs weren't together on any particular record. There's usually only one or two from either any of the records, and it just kind of shows you, well, you know, where you've come from. And I do think they'll Steve Vai fans and Tool fans will love this show.
Mhm.
And I think then they'll have the opportunity to go deeper and see what Tony Levin has done, what Adrian's done, and maybe the Vai fans will figure out what Tool's about.
Right, and that's just how it is. So one final thing here, like let's say what many years you've been playing, how many gigs you think you got in your resume, like actual tour dates and gigs you did
Oh,
throughout
I
on.
have no idea. I'd love to have a compilation of that. You know, that you can pretty much find out anything that Frank Zappa ever did. So you can go back, and that's kind of true with David Bowie too, maybe Talking Heads as well. Um, I could probably find out everything that I ever did with the Bears and Gizmodrome and so many others. But the solo career stuff is not quite so documented. Um, it has to be thousands of shows and thousands of places because I've been to Japan 21 times, Australia 8 times when you could go to Russia. I was there 6 times. Europe, I don't know, 30 times. South America, the same thing. So, you know, it's a lot, and it's an incredible feeling to know, to have in your mind all of that. It's kind of so mind-boggling that you can't really sort through it. It's just like a movie that there's so many details, and some of them come back to you in a flash, and then you remember that moment at that place. But there's just so many of those memories now. I feel like I've lived 3 lifetimes, honestly.
Incredible. Well, Casino New Brunswick and Moncton is going to have a blast seeing this happen. I mean, October 15th and October
Yeah,
14th.
I
It's
can't
sold out.
wait.
Rebecca Cohen's already sold out in Halifax. That's awesome too.
Well, that's wonderful. And by the way, I really like playing in casinos. They're usually very nice places.
You got that right. And it's like that. I hope you have an awesome tour and you just have a good summer. Awesome one.
Well, thank you, Jason. I'm working towards it and can't wait to really get in the thick of it. It's going to be so wonderful.
Well, can't wait to get my photo pass to take some photos of the show.
Okay, if you can, get backstage, come by and say hi. I like to talk to the people that interview me too.
Absolutely, I'll mention that.
All right, Jason, have a great day.
Hey, thank you, Adrian. Bye.
Bye bye.